Hi, my name is John Gilbert, and I'm with Pellissippi State Community College, and it is my privilege to be able to speak with Ayla Bitter today from Arconic, to be able to tell us a little bit more about her company and the opportunities that are there. So, Ayla, welcome. Thank you for doing this, and I will turn it over to you to share about Arconic.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. Um, as John said, my name is Ayla Bitter. I'm the ingot remelt quality superintendent at Arconic here in Alcoa, Tennessee. So that means that I cover all quality aspects of all of our molten metal. It's molten aluminum from scrap, melting it all the way to making an ingot, and then that's where my job ends and the mills start. But I'm going to share a quick video about Arconic with you. So please give me a second to get that brought up.
High-tech alloys, automated vehicles, robotics. These aren't always the first things that come to mind for a lot of people when they think about manufacturing.
But with modern materials, precision engineering, and streamlined tech processes, today's world of advanced manufacturing opens up possibilities and career options that may surprise you.
Welcome to Arconic's Advanced Manufacturing Hub in Tennessee.
Located just south of Knoxville, this place is chock full of super smart people and state-of-the-art equipment.
It's in places like this that Arconic is taking on some of engineering's toughest challenges with solutions that push the boundaries of what's possible in industrial and automotive design.
Combining innovative thinking with high-tech materials and processes. Hi, I'm Albert.
And I'm Natalie, and we're excited to have you with us as we explore the people and processes of Arconic.
If you've never stopped to think about it, you may not realize that manufacturing touches pretty much every aspect of our lives. Cars,
Toothbrushes,
vending machines,
shoes.
electronics.
None of these would exist if someone hadn't designed and manufactured them.
And sometimes, instead of just making things, companies like Arconic create specialized materials that other manufacturers need to build their products.
That's why advanced manufacturing encompasses such a huge array of skill sets and disciplines. The career possibilities are virtually limitless. Now, if you've already been thinking about what you might want to do when you finish school, that's great. That'll definitely give you a jump start on the future.
Yeah, but don't stress if you're not sure what you want to be when you grow up yet. There's still time to start exploring options now, and doing a self-inventory of your skills and interests is a fantastic place to begin. We'll share some great tools to help with that a little later.
The main thing is to be intentional about where you want to go in life. That means envisioning where you'd like to be and then forming a plan that'll get you there.
Sort of like designing your future self.
Exactly. And just for fun, let's use avatars to help us envision some of the careers and opportunities we'll learn about today.
Whoa, that's us. I feel a little underdressed. Can we add anything to our avatars yet?
Absolutely. I think I'll start my journey with a healthy dose of intellectual curiosity.
Not bad. That's not bad, but I'm going for a growth mindset. See where that takes me.
Sounds good. Where do you want to start?
Whoa! This place is huge!
You could fit 75 football fields under this one roof.
Impressive. Hey, what's the hotline?
I don't know, but let's find out.
Okay, so that was a very brief overview. So a little more in depth, we take those ingots that we cast and they go through the hot mill like they showed, where we start reducing them down to a thinner plate. And then from there, they go to our cold mill and they're rolled into a very thin sheet, and it's actually coiled up. There were some coils in the video. They kind of look like aluminum toilet paper rolls. And then those coils, for automotive, we heat treat them to make them a little bit stronger. For other products, they go to the customer as is. So kind of like the video said, we make the product of an aluminum coil, and that goes to our customer, who actually takes that aluminum and forms it into something that a consumer will use.
Okay, sounds good. Now, let's talk a little bit about your journey. Can you describe for our viewers your own personal career journey that has landed you in your current position at Arconic?
Of course. So throughout high school, I was really good at math and science. Um, I was kind of debating what I wanted to do. Did I want to be a doctor? Did I want to be a lawyer? What exact path did I want to take? My dad was actually an electrical tech spec at 3M. So he worked with engineers there, and he suggested that I look at engineering. So I attended an engineering summer camp at South Dakota Mines and had tons of fun. I learned a lot, and that led me on the path to choosing engineering as a degree. I originally chose chemical engineering because in high school I loved chemistry class. So at my first year, freshman year, I took several classes in chemical engineering. I discovered that it wasn't really for me. There were some aspects that I thought were tedious. And so I kind of looked at different engineering opportunities. I did end up going to school at South Dakota Mines in Rapid City, South Dakota. So it's very much a science and engineering college. So there were a lot of different engineering opportunities for me to explore. Through that exploration, I discovered metallurgical engineering, which is kind of a chemical engineering only focused on metals only. So steel, aluminum, copper, that sort of thing. So I switched over between my freshman year and sophomore year to metallurgical engineering. I love metallurgical engineering. It's very hands-on. You get to work with metal. I get to work with molten metal, so it's even a step better there. From there, between my junior and senior years, I interned at Spirit Aerosystems, which the location that I interned at, actually, their main product is the Boeing 737 fuselage. So I learned a lot through that internship. During my senior year, I applied to several different companies, and I got a response from Alcoa here in Tennessee that eventually became the Arconic we are today. And I interviewed, went through that process, loved Tennessee when I came for my on-site. So once I started, I worked for 3 months in our quality group, just kind of learning the ropes, learning our quality management systems. I worked then for a year on the hotline, so working out how we roll the coil and make sure that we are meeting properties and making good coil. And then after that, I came over to casting. So I've been in casting for 8 years now. Absolutely love it. I couldn't be happier. And the last 2 years, I actually was promoted from the metallurgical engineer position to quality superintendent position. And not just for one area, but for 3 different departments. So it's our remelt facility, which we take scrap, melt it down into molten. And then we have 2 casting plants. And so I cover all 3 of those areas. And during this time, I also worked getting my master's degree online through Purdue University. So in December of 2015, I graduated with my master's in interdisciplinary engineering with a concentration in materials engineering.
Wow, so you've had quite a journey.
Yes.
So with a company like Arconic, I'm sure there's lots of positions, different types of positions. What are the types of jobs that are available to people with only a high school education?
Okay, we do have several positions here at Arconic for high school education applicants. We have production operators who are actually working the equipment on the floor. we have mechanics, electricians. We have brick masons to work on the refractory that we have in our furnaces. We have construction specialists, industrial mechanics, and some administrative roles that can be done with a high school diploma. For the mechanics, electricians, construction specialists, brick masons, and industrial truck mechanics, the applicant does have to pass a required aptitude test. But from there, all of these jobs have on-the-job training, so you don't have to bring in any prior knowledge.
Okay. What about with a college degree of some sort?
So we have engineering. The main engineers that we employ are mechanical, electrical, and then metallurgical or materials engineers. We have quality roles where it's more focused on working with the customer directly on quality improvements and concerns. Management roles, supply chain roles, finance, human resources, purchasing, to name some of the major ones.
Okay. So I know it can change at any moment, but what would you say are the top 2 or 3 jobs and positions that you are consistently looking to fill?
Engineering is a big one, and then finance and maintenance. So whether it's an electrician or mechanic, or a technical specialist, or a planner, we have a lot of roles in maintenance that we need filled. And then production is kind of on and off. We'll hire a lot of production operators all as a group, and then go for a year or two without hiring very many, and then there'll be a group again that we hire.
Okay. Can you speak a little bit to what the starting pay is for these various positions?
So of course it varies by degree and job, but it is competitive and within normal industry standards. You can make a great living working at Arconic.
Okay. Uh, what type of skills or education affect starting pays?
So for hourly roles, like the production operators, mechanics, electricians, it's based on the union contract and it's based on specific job. So if you're a mechanic or electrician that had to pass the aptitude test, you're going to make more than the production operator that doesn't have to pass that test. For salary, so engineers, management, supply chain, that sort of thing, it's really based on level of education, so bachelor's, master's, etc., and then years of applicable experience. So did you work somewhere else in aluminum? Did you work somewhere else in steel? Or did you work at a grocery store? So where you worked really is will determine your starting pay or pay level.
Right. Okay. So, what personal characteristics would you say are essential to someone's success at Arconic?
Of course. So you definitely have to work with others and in teams. There's very little that one person completes all by themselves from start to finish. So you're constantly working with others there. Communication is key. So be able to communicate with your peers, be able to communicate with people in roles above you, so your managers, etc., and then also be able to communicate with any subordinates you might have. Open to change. So we're changing a lot at Arconic right now, so you have to be open to that. Within the last couple of years, we went from casting completely can sheet aluminum to now we're casting automotive and industrial aluminums. So we went basically from one alloy to now we're casting about 5 different alloys. So there's a lot of change there. Self-starter, so be able to start those tasks to get them completed. And then, of course, like many companies, honesty and trustworthiness is important.
Right. So, how do you develop talent like from within the company?
Okay, within, for those hourly roles, they have the ability to move into other departments of the plant for different roles and gain breadth of knowledge there. And then we do have the on-the-job training. For salary, we have a little more where we have a continuing education program. So they'll help you get a bachelor's or pay for that master's, depending on what you want and what's available. There's aluminum specific training. So normally you don't get a lot of training on specifically how aluminum is processed or what temperature melts at, etc. So we do have specific training programs for aluminum. There's lateral moves. So to gain breadth and knowledge, you can not only move up to gain knowledge, but you can take roles in different departments to gain that knowledge. And then, like hourly, there's on-the-job training. Rarely will you have someone who can come into a role and know everything about it.
Right. So some of the people viewing this may be high school students or classrooms. What types of work-based learning opportunities does Arconic offer for high school students?
Okay, it's not just for high school students, but we do have a manufacturing internship program. It's actually for adults ages 18 to 26. We don't let anybody work here under the age of 18. But it's 3 weeks of workforce readiness training, 100 hours of hands-on experience in manufacturing, and then a 3-day follow-up for a career fair, graduation, that sort of thing. So it's more getting just an idea of what manufacturing is. And then I think that's all. Sorry.
Okay. Are those paid or unpaid?
So those are paid. And I guess I should have said for college students, not just for high school, but for college students, we do have limited summer internships where they come for the summer. And that one's paid as well. Kind of like the internship I did at Spirit Aero Systems, we have that at Arconic as well.
Okay. Okay. And that, so what, if someone's interested in there, I know a lot of times people ask about benefits and that sort of thing. So what are the policies and practices for time off with Arconic, the different leave options?
Okay. Great. So we have different levels of paid time off or vacation time. You have to work here for 6 months. After that, you get a week of vacation. Once you work here a year, you get 2 weeks. 3 years is 3 weeks. 15 years is where you get your 4 weeks of paid time off. And then 25 years of working here, you get 5 weeks.
Okay. So are there any other special incentives or benefits that you guys offer your employees?
Yes, we have a 401k with a company match. And then we have health, dental, and vision insurance. And then, of course, we have the paid time off we talked about.
Okay. There's a lot of talk these days about work-life balance. So how does Arconic promote a good balance of work life and home life?
We really encourage each individual to manage their own time and to maintain that healthy work-life balance. You can work with your supervisor on that as well. We don't have any specific programs around it right now.
Okay. So what are some ways that Arconic engages with and supports the local community?
We have several things we do to support the community. We have the Arconic Foundation, which is a global foundation that provides grants to various programs or, I guess, companies or groups of people who are doing really good things. So we provide those. We have a CARES grant, which I actually think I'll talk about in a minute. We have employee resource groups. So we have Thrive, which is really a women's network. We have Spectrum, which is an LGBT plus resource group. We have American Hispanic Network. We have an African American network, Heritage Network. We have a Next Generation Network for younger employees to get together. So those really they help both internally and with the community. Internally, it makes, we're really into diversity and inclusion at Arconic, and we use those employee resource groups to promote that and get groups of like-minded people together, and they can have talks or do lunch and learns or different things to really grow and learn that way as well. And then we also recently started a STEM council. So with that STEM council, we're reaching out to the community, really focusing on the different schools and colleges in the area to reach out, tell them about Arconic through that as well. And once in a while, before COVID, we allowed certain groups to come in so they could tour and see what the plant actually looked like.
Okay. Are there other ways that Arconic encourages employees to individually be involved in community service?
Yes. So I talked about the CARES grant. So that's really based on individual hours of service or based on getting a group of people together for one event or towards one foundation, and you apply for that grant, and there's various levels of that grant, but if you complete all the requirements for it, it actually gives money back to that group. So for instance, if Habitat for Humanity or Humane Society, you get a group of people working on an event, you can apply for the CARES grant, and could be $2,500 towards that group.
Okay. So what are some industry changes that you foresee happening in the next 10 years?
Yes. So I foresee continued lightweighting of automotive. So we've already started doing some automotive where we're going from steel to aluminum. Right now, it's especially on the doors, hoods, trunks. Some of the internal safety pillars are aluminum now, but I foresee more and more of that as we want to increase miles per gallon on an overall fleet of vehicles. I also see a continued shift from plastic beverage containers to alternative materials. One of those would be aluminum, just from recyclability standpoint there. And then I really like this statistic. I've heard it several different places, but they say by 2018, there will be 2.4 million manufacturing jobs that will go unfilled. So that's a lot of manufacturing jobs that we need to fill in the next 8 years. And then with that, if a student hasn't considered a job in manufacturing by the time they're in 8th grade, they probably never will. So we really need to focus on getting out there and getting information about manufacturing, such as this we're doing today, not only to high schoolers or college age students, but down to elementary and middle school students as well. And doing that will hopefully help reduce that 2.4 million job gap that we'll see in 8 years.
Right. So with all of that, why should a young person, or any person for that matter, consider your company, consider Arconic for employment?
First of all, manufacturing in general can be very rewarding. At Arconic, watching the process of taking scrap, melting it down, going through the process, rolling it out, and making a coil that our customers are going to use is fascinating. You kind of saw some of that in the video, pieces of it, but that just watching that whole process is fascinating. And then aluminum really is a thing of the future. Like I said, more automotive will start using it. It's already one of the main materials used on airplanes for lightweighting. I think we'll see more and more aluminum used moving forward just due to its recyclability, because you can take the same aluminum from a can, recycle it again and again and again, back into a can. I've heard that the aluminum that went into the cans in the 1970s are still being made into cans today. And then for Arconic at Alcoa, Tennessee, we really do support the community. We do outreach programs. And then, of course, there's a strong local history and tradition of people in this community working at this plant. Alcoa, Tennessee was named after the plant originally before we transitioned into Arconic.
Okay. One final question. Is there anything that you would like to add that we haven't talked about today that you would want people to know about Arconic?
I can't think of anything. I could say that some interesting facts about aluminum, because we kind of were just talking about that, is aluminum, why we use it for lightweighting is it's a third the weight of steel, and it's half the strength. So to make this same part the same strength as in aluminum as it is in steel, it'll still be significantly lighter. In other aspects, aluminum is pound for pound twice as conductive as copper. And again, I can't stress it enough, but recyclability. So when you take the ore from the Earth's crust, aluminum is 7% of the Earth's crust is aluminum. So there's no other, I shouldn't say that. It's the second most common metal in the Earth's crust. The first common is silicon, which makes sense. But so it's abundant, but taking it from an ore and making it into aluminum, it takes a lot of electricity to go through that process. If you recycle it, it's 95% of that same energy. So your energy reduction has plummeted once you can recycle it. So I guess what I could say is recycle your aluminum, because we can use it over and over again, and we don't want to fill up our landfills.
Right. Well, if you don't have anything else to add, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to answer some of my questions, and hopefully this information will be useful for helping to fill some of your positions that you have that come open. And just thank you again and wish you the best.
Thank you very much, John. Have a great day.
You too.